All right, you guys, what is up with your YouTube? It's your boy JB, and we are here with the episode review of Delilah. This is season 1, episode 7, and it's titled Purple Empress. So, you guys, next week is the season finale of Delilah. I'm not looking forward to it because so far Delilah has been really, really good. I've enjoyed it. But let's go ahead and get into the episode review, guys. All right, you guys, this episode was really interesting. My first bit of advice for Delilah: drop Leah as a client. She ain't worth it. So we see Delilah. So Delilah is all smiles after her night with Jamal. And Jamal even texting. I'm like, ooh, y'all had fun. So then Mace comes over with breakfast, and he tells, Delilah that he went to the post office where the P.O. box is. And he tells her that, although the last wire transfer was months ago, he says that, while he was there, as soon as it opened, it's a bank. Right, it's a bank. He says as soon as it opened, someone came in there, they opened the P.O. box, they got something out, and they gave the key back and closed the P.O. box. And she was like, who was it? Rick Pattengale? He says, nope, Rick Pattengale is still, a bit of a mystery to us. She's like, Fred? He says, it was Cindy Shay. And I was like, Cindy Shay? I'm like, okay, the plot is thickening. So then we see Tamara. So Tamara is at the crib, and, she wakes up, and so she's supposed to be planning for the wedding. And surprise, surprise, no Casey. So Casey left a note for Tamara telling her that he had to go to work in Raleigh. He had something that came up, and he had to go to work in Raleigh for a work trip. Oh, Tamara. Yeah, that might be a bit of a red flag. I'm just gonna keep it real with you. I mean, I'm not saying that he couldn't have a work trip in Raleigh, but ew. It's just a little kind of coincident. Yeah, keep your good eye on him. But let's move on. All right, you guys. So we go over to Delilah's office. We see Demetria. So Demetria, she has this weird look on her face. So she's looking at something on a computer, which I don't know what that was that she was looking at on the computer. So then Harper comes in, and Demetria wants to go talk to Harper. And Harper tells her, I'd rather us not talk. But she says, the way that I did act yesterday, that was completely unprofessional. And I don't want to interfere with each of us doing our jobs. So, it is what it is. Let's move forward. So Demetria's like, oh, you didn't stop me from doing my job, but I am worried about your job. So then Delilah comes in. So Delilah tells Harper that she needs to call Cindy Shay in so that she can come down and give a witness statement. My neighbors, I can hear them. So then she tells them Delilah tells them what May saw, about Cindy Shay going down to the P.O. box. And she wants to know how involved Cindy is and what Cindy knows. So then she tells Demetria to call Wellington Armaments to see when Osborne asked for the missiles that were tested. You guys remember in, I believe it was episode 1 or episode 2, when Tamara went down to Fred Osborne to test the missiles, and they tested them in front of her, and they didn't go off. So she wants to know who ordered them. So then Leah shows up, and Leah's telling Delilah that she wants to settle. That's why I say drop her as a client, because she ain't worth a lick of SHI poo. So then we see Tamara. So Tamara is on the phone, and she's playing her wedding, and her phone is beeping in her ear because there's another call coming. So she hangs up with that person, and it's Fred calling her. So Fred is telling her that he wants her to come, make a settlement offer for Leah. And so we see Delilah. So Delilah is going off on Leah, saying there is no offer. So what are you talking about? So she says, call Fred or call Tamara. And Delilah's like, did he threaten you? And she says, yeah, he did. But, he authorized her more money. So that's the whole thing with Leah. Leah is all about the money, which we knew that from the beginning. That's all Leah cared about was money. So Leah says that, she's the one that authorized the wire transfers to Pine City and Rick Pattingale, but she doesn't remember doing it. And I was thinking to myself, if you don't remember doing it, then how do you know it was you? Like, huh? I bet y'all. So now we see Fred is trying to place the blame on Gary Shea. So Delilah is begging Leah to give her 24 hours so that they can go to mediation. Delilah, I just really feel like you're wasting your time with Leah, because it just ain't no way I would deal with that woman. She's lied from the beginning. Like, I just couldn't deal with her. But let's move on, you guys. All right, you guys. So next we see Delilah. She walks by Harper and she sees some flowers. Like, where'd these flowers come from? So Jamal sends her the flowers. And, Harper tells Delilah that Cindy Shea is coming in tomorrow to give her witness statement. So then she tells her, she needs her to reach out to a company to see who's available for a mediation for she and Tamara. So, and then to find out what the connection is between Cindy Shea and Rick Pattingale. So we see Demetria. So Demetria is on the phone. You guys remember her task was to figure out who ordered the missile who ordered the missile that was tested in front of Tamara. So we see Demetria, she's on the task and she is playing, hardball. She's talking about getting this person extradited and everything. So the person's gonna send her the email, but they don't know who actually sent the email. I mean, not the email, but who actually ordered it. But she's on the case. So then we see Mason and Delilah. So they're talking, and she's telling Mason that when it comes down to this whole situation with Leah and these wire transfers, she doesn't believe that Leah did it because, one, Leah doesn't remember doing it. But I mean, that's not too much to go by, because Leah is not a credible source, because again, Leah has been lying since day one. And that's even one thing that I tweeted tonight was, when doesn't Leah lie? Because Leah lies as easy as the day, as long as Leah lies. She lies as long as the day is. Like, she just lies for no reason. So Delilah says that if there is proof, we need it by tomorrow because Leah is ready to settle today. So let's pause here and move forward. All right, you guys. So we see Harper. So Harper is at her desk and she's watching one of those judge shows, like the People's Court, Divorce Court, etc. that comes on in the midday. So she pauses it because she sees something that catches her eye. So she calls for Demetria. So then we see her and Demetria, and they're watching it. And Demetria is laughing at it, talking about, white people do some crazy things. So she's like, so you were just watching TV? She says, no, I wasn't watching TV. What happened was I was trying to find a connection between Cindy Shea and Rick Pattingale. But then she thought, if Cindy knew Rick Pattingale, it would have been before she was Cindy Shea. So she searched for Rick and Cindy, and she found the People's Judge, where they were cast members on there. Now they went by different names at that time, but we got a little bit more intel about them. So then we see Delilah. So Delilah is cooking, and she's with the kids, and Harper and Delilah, both Hunter and not Delilah, Hunter and Demetria call her Delilah. So they tell her what happened. So we'll talk about that when we get to it. So, she tells them, you guys did good. Go get a bottle of wine that's somewhere in the office and celebrate. So Delilah asked Maya and Marcus how was things with Gordon. So, it was okay. Marcus has a crush on Katya, and Marcus says, no, I don't. She's ugly. And Delilah's like, no, she's not ugly, Marcus. And then, Maya wasn't able to practice her violin while she was with him because it was always about Katya and, can't make too much noise. So she asked, can she practice? And Delilah says, yeah. So then Marcus asks, where's Dion? And Delilah says, Christine asked for one more night with Dion. So then we see there's a knock at the door. So Tamara's come over. So Tamara wants to go over this list of people that can, do the mediation with she and Delilah. And Delilah tells her, but there's no settlement. Like, I'm not settling. And Tamara says, Fred is offering a lot of money at this point. And your client and my client, they went behind our backs. So why don't we at this point just be the lawyers and, try to find someone that can help us with this mediation. So Delilah says, okay, we'll do it. So let's move on, you guys. All right, you guys. So you remember I was just telling you that Delilah told Harper and Demetria to celebrate. So Demetria decides that she's going to open up to Harper. And she tells her that she was married for 10 years. So she met her husband on a dating app for Black Catholics. And, she told her a lot about her husband. So at some point in their relationship, he started to change, and she thought he was cheating on her. So she kicked him out, but come to find out, he wasn't cheating on her. He had a brain tumor, but he had colon cancer, and that had spread to his brain. And then, they got the cancer in his brain, but by that point, it had spread throughout his entire body. So Demetria, she was at Georgetown, and she took off, so she could take care of him. But, once after he passed away, she did go back to school. And she said she was motivated because of, Harper's case. And Harper's like, so what does this have to do with me? And she just basically told her not to give up. You're not too far away or anything like that. You just go back. But that was pretty much. It was actually really nice to see Harper and Demetria actually get along in this episode. Really enjoyed it. So then we see Mace. So he's working with someone. I don't know the young lady's name that he's working with, but what they're trying to do is they're trying to prove that, so the wire transfers that were allegedly done by Leah, they were done electronically. So you guys know how you have on, how in this day and age, when people send you documents, you e-sign it. So they're trying to trace them. Now, she did find a few of them that were, the stamps and the dates and everything, the stamps and all that stuff, they matched up. But she did find one that was the proof that, Mace was looking for. Do I want to keep going or do I want to stop? I'm going to stop here and we're going to wrap up. All right, you guys. So to wrap the episode up, so we see Tamara and Delilah. So Tamara, you guys remember, she came over so that she and Delilah could talk about the mediator. So they eventually settled on one person to do a mediation for them. But they didn't really like any of them to begin with, but they settled on one. So then they're talking, and it's as if this case doesn't exist. It's as if everything is just a clean slate and they're back to being best friends, being sisters with one another. So Tamara asked Delilah about Jamal. And, Delilah's like, Casey didn't tell you? She's like, no. She's like, I ain't even saw Casey all day. And, she said she hasn't talked to him. And Delilah was like, and, Tim was like, Delilah, I know my man. I know my relationship. She was like, I didn't say anything. She says, but you're giving me that look. And I gotta agree with although Delilah didn't say anything, I'm with Delilah. I mean, do unexpected work trips happen? Absolutely. But you gotta be a little bit cautious about the fact that he's on a work trip. You don't know when he left. He just left a note saying he's on a work trip. Like, he could be with another woman. And he could be, like I said, he could be on that work trip. But, you just kind of gotta wonder. So Marcus comes in. He's talking to, Delilah, because Maya is still playing. Now, excuse me, my bad. Didn't mean to burp in your face. So when Dion is there, Maya can only practice up until 9 o'clock. But since Dion is not there, that 9 o'clock was out the window. But at this point, it's 10:30 at night. So Delilah, she says, I'll go upstairs and talk to her. You go to bed. So as she's getting ready to go up there, she tells Tamara, if this, does go to mediation, the one thing that I do want from Fred is for Fred to say that he did not fire Leah for work performance. And, Tamara's like, okay, I got you. So then there's a knock at the door, and it's Mace. So Mace is like, he's talking to her about, the files, and that he was about to tell her about these files until he sees Tamara. He's like, should I wait and have this conversation in private? And she's like, they were like, no, let's have it right here. So Mace puts it out there that those files are not real. Those wire transfers, they're not real. Those wire transfers were put on Leah's computer after it was stolen. So someone else made those wire transfers. So then Delilah says, you know what, we're not settling. And Tamara says, but if you don't settle, even if you don't settle, you won't have a client. She says, well, I'll find someone else. Again, like I keep saying, if you don't, you might want to drop Leah like a hot potato. So then we see Delilah. So you guys remember Delilah told Harper them to call Cindy Shea in for her witness statement. So Cindy is giving her witness statement. And Cindy is saying that she didn't know anything about any of this until after Gary was dead. So then they ask her, who introduced who to who? She said, did you introduce Gary to Rick, or did Gary introduce Rick to Fred? Like, who did this whole introduction stuff? So we found out a little bit more about Cindy and Rick. Cindy and Rick, they were exes. They dated before she got with Gary. Rick had a drinking problem. He got into the Army thinking he could kick that problem, but he really didn't, because he got addicted to prescription pills. So how this happened was, she introduced Rick to Gary, and then Gary introduced Rick to Fred, who paid him $100,000 to get Osborne the contract. So she does say that, she set up the wire transfer so that the payments that were being made to Rick, they didn't have a paper trail. And then she also says that, with the C-15s, they were trying to clean things up until she came along. And then she also says that Rick asked for more money, but he went into hiding the day that Gary came up dead, and she doesn't know where he is. So as Cindy is getting ready to leave, in walks Leah. So we find out that Leah and Cindy had met each other. And Leah, once again, per usual, she's trying to lie about the situation. It's like, girl, stop lying. So Delilah's like, so y'all met each other? She says, yeah. She says, when did y'all meet? She says she came over to the house the day that Gary died, and she dropped off some clothes, saying on behalf of, Fred and the company. But at that point, Leah was no longer working for Fresh. She had been fired. So Delilah, once Cindy starts leaving, once Cindy left, Delilah started questioning her, like, what the hell is going on? I'm like, again, Delilah, drop her. Like, really, I would drop her. But you guys, that is the episode. And like I said, next week is the season finale. Be sure to like this video. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Subscribe to this channel and my planner channel. You guys hit that notification bell button so you guys are aware of when I drop anything else. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, stay safe, you guys. Take care of yourselves. Wash your hands, wear your mask, and socially distance, and we will get through this together. All right, you guys, that is it. And I will see you guys in the next one. I won't see you guys anymore until Friday, right? Yeah, I'll see you guys on Friday for the hot topics and for Ready to Love. Bye, guys.